Earlier, we have done about what is commerce and the role of commerce. Okay, so now I had given you all the definition and I have explained to you all. The next, what we are going to do is the role or the functions of commerce. Now, once it comes to the role and the functions of commerce, now, commerce, it always plays an important role in removing the hindrances, that is the obstacles, especially whenever there arises your exchange in goods and services. Okay, the first one is the hindrance of person. Now, commerce, it removes this hindrance, that is this obstacle, by creating a link between the producers and consumers. So, it removes the hindrance. Okay, so these traders, what happens is they establish a contact between two people, that is the producers and the consumers. So once the production is done, want to sell that product, so what they do, the buyer, they contact the seller. Okay, for what? It's nothing else to sell that product. So here there is a link between the producer and the consumer. Producer means production. After your production, the producer who is there is a link between two people, that is the producer and the consumer. Okay, that is what? Hindrance of person. Next is the hindrance of place. Once the commerce, it removes the hindrance by moving the goods from the places of production to the places of consumption through various modes of transport. Okay, now there are various modes of transport. So because of the various modes of transport, the commerce, what does it do? It removes the hindrances, that it removes the obstacles by moving the goods from one place of production to the places of the consumption, that also through various modes of transport. The third is your hindrance of time. Now, commerce, it removes this hindrance by holding and preserving goods in the warehouses until they are sold to the consumers. Once it is produced, once it is, the commerce, it removes the hindrances, it removes the obstacles, okay, by preserving the goods in the warehouse until there is an order from the consumer, until it is sold to the consumers. So it is your hindrance of time, that is your obstacle, that it removes the obstacle of time. Next is your hindrance of risk. Now, commerce, it removes the hindrance of risk or damage due to the theft, fire, accidents by means of insurance. So, now, whenever there is the mode of transport is there, the products, they are being going from one place to another. Okay, now through that mode of transport, any mode of transport, the product is moving, what happens? Suddenly there is theft, okay, of the goods, or suddenly there is some accident which has taken place. What happens is commerce, it removes the obstacle of the risk by means of insurance. So the hindrance of the risk, it is removed by commerce by the means of insurance. Okay. Next is the hindrance of finance. Now, commerce, it removes the hindrance by providing finance through banking. So, the finance is through banking. Okay, so the commerce, what does it do? It removes the obstacles by providing the finance through banking. Next is the hindrance of knowledge. Now, commerce, it removes this hindrance by providing the information about the goods and services to prospective customers through advertising. It's very true. Once your product is advertised, a lot of people see to it, and then what happens is the people, they come to know about your product, what you have produced. So then it is the commerce, it removes the hindrances, that is the obstacles, by providing the information of the goods and services to the customers through the advertising. So the main is the advertising, which removes the hindrances of the knowledge. So in the commerce, it removes the hindrances, that is it removes the hindrances, that is the obstacles, by providing goods and services, that also to the customers through advertising. Right. The next, what we are going to do is the meaning of trade. Now, What do you mean by trade? Buying and selling of goods is called as trading, okay, in simple language. Now here, trade means what? Trade means sale, transfer or exchange of goods and services for a price, right? Whether that is sale of goods, transfer of goods, or that is exchange of goods and services, it is of course you get a price for it, that is your earning profit. Okay, the persons who are engaged in the trade are called as the traders or the merchants. So whoever are doing trading, okay, the people who are engaged in trade, they are called as the traders, or in other words, they are called as merchants. Now these traders, they serve as a middleman between the producers and consumers, right? So traders, they serve as a middleman. So you can take over here when you're doing your trade. So here, the traders, or you can say the merchants, what you can say, or the merchants, sorry, 1 minute. The trader, it's very easy to remember, traders or the merchants, they are a middleman between whom? Between the producers and who else is your consumers. Right, they are the middlemen. These traders, they are what? The middlemen. Okay, they are the middlemen. The traders or the merchant, they are the middlemen between the producers and the consumers. Next is your types of trade. Now under your trade, you have got two types of trade. One is your internal trade and your external trade. Under your internal trade, you have got your wholesale trade and your retail trade. Under your external trade, you have got three types of trade. That is your import trade, export trade and entrepreneur trade. Now, the trade and its types. Now, what do you mean by your internal trade? First of all, we'll see, and then we will see under your internal trade, the wholesale trade and your retail trade. Now, under your internal trade, it refers to the buying and the selling of the goods and services within the geographical boundaries of the country. You can say India, okay? So, it is called as your home trade or your domestic trade. So, internal trade, it refers to the buying and the selling of goods and services within the geographical boundaries of one country, and this internal trade is also called as your home trade or your domestic trade. Under your internal trade, you have got your wholesale trade and your retail trade. Your wholesale trade is nothing but it refers to buying of the goods in bulk, from where? From the manufacturers, and selling them in large quantities to the retailers and smaller quantities to the industrial users. So they serve as a link between the producers and retailers. So your wholesale trade, it is what? They serve as a link between the producer and the retailers. Okay, next is your retail trade. Now, retail trade is nothing but it refers to the buying of the goods from the wholesalers and manufacturers and selling them to the small quantity directly to the consumers. So, this is called as your retail trade. Next trade is your external trade. The first one which we have seen is your internal trade. Under your internal trade, you have got a wholesale trade and your wholesale trade and your retail trade. The next one is your external trade. Under your external trade is your import trade, export trade and your entrepreneur trade. Now, under your external trade, it refers to the buying and selling of the goods and services from different countries. That is why it is called as your foreign trade. Okay. Now, under your external trade, you have got an import trade, which the purchasing of the goods and services from the other countries. Import trade is nothing but you're purchasing the goods and services from the other countries is called as your import trade. Next is your export export trade, which involves the selling goods and services to the other countries. Next is your interpreted trade. This is the last trade under your external trade, which the importing goods from one more country with the purpose of exporting them to the other countries. That is called as the interpret trade. Okay. Next, we are going to see the distinction, the distinction between the organization, firm and company. First of all, we are going to see what do you mean by the term organization. Okay, organization means what? A group of the persons who are jointly undertaking the same activity. Okay, that is called as your organization. Once you come to your, now here in your organization, your registration, it may or may not be registered. When it comes to your organization, first we will do a full organization, then we will do the firm, then company, then we will come to the distinction part of all these three, that is your organization, firm and company. So the first one, the meaning of the word organization means what? A group of the persons who are jointly undertaking some activity, it's called as an organization. Now here the registration may or may not be required. It is not compulsory. Okay. The nature of the work, it may be commercial or it may be also non-commercial. Now here I have given some examples under your organization is your Government of India, University of Delhi and Big Bazaar, which are famous examples under your organization. Next comes is what is your word, the meaning of the term called firm. Now an individual or the group undertaking some business. Individual means a single person or a group, okay, who are undertaking some business, who are taking some business. That is called as the word called firm. Now here again in the firm, the registration may or may not be registered and they are always commercial. In firm, they are always commercial, and the examples which I have given you all is your Birla Brothers and your Agarwal and Sons. Next one is your company. What do you mean by company? A group of persons who are registered as a legal entity. That is called as a company. Okay, the meaning of the term company. Now here always these people are registered. The company, first of all, the companies are always registered. Okay, the nature of the work, they may be commercial or may not be commercial also. Now the examples which I am giving you all under company is your ICSE Bank and your Coca-Cola Corporation. So these are the examples which I am giving under company. So now I have explained here what is organization, firm and company. We are coming to the distinction between it. The meaning I have told you, a group of persons jointly undertaking some activity. That is the meaning of the term called organization. An individual who are undertaking, the group undertaking under some business, they are called as firm. And in the company, they are registered as legal entity, which is called as your company. Here when it comes to your registration, may or may not be registered. Under your firm, again they may or may not be registered, but in company they are always registered. Okay, the next comes your nature of work. Again they are commercial or non-commercial. When it comes to your firm, may or may not be registered. They are always commercial when it comes to the nature of work. And here in the company, they can be commercial or they can be non-commercial. The examples I have given you all, Government of India, your Big Bazaar, they are examples of the organization. For the firm is your Birla Brothers and the Agarwal and Sons. When it comes to your company, it's your Coca-Cola Company and ICSE Bank. So I've explained you all the term, what is called as organization, firm and your company, plus the distinction also of all these three. Next is your commercial organization. I have shown you a picture of the commercial organization over here. Now what do you exactly mean by commercial organization? Okay, according to Adams, commercial organization is any organization which is involved in the production, trading of goods and services, and they are owned by an individual or group of people, again for earning profit. That motive is to earn profit. So again I'm telling, commercial organization is an organization which is involved in your production, in your trading of goods and services, and they are owned by an individual or the group of people for the motive of profit. Okay, now we are going to see the distinction between the commercial and non-commercial organization. Okay, now what do you mean by commercial organization? And what are the main objectives? Now, the main objective of the commercial organization is again what? To earn profit. But from where? From the owners. Okay, and the main objective of the non-commercial organization is to render the services to the society, which is very, very important. Commercial organization is to earn the profit for what? For the owners. To earn the profit for the owners is what is the main objective of your commercial organization. For your non-commercial organization, they render the service to the society. The second one is the type of activities, which is your buying and selling of your goods and services. Whereas you come to your non-commercial organization, it is social, religious and patriotic. Next, under your forms of organization, under your commercial organization, it is your proprietorship, partnership and company. Whereas in a non-commercial organization, you have got your clubs, NGOs and your cooperatives. Okay, the examples of your commercial organization I have given here is your trade, transport and banking, whereas in your non-commercial organization, it is your temples and trusts. These are the examples of your non-commercial organization. Next is, what is the difference? What do you mean by your profit-making organization and non-profit making organization? Now when it comes to you, what do you mean by profit making organization? It's simple, it's to earn profit, right? The main objective, the primary motive is what? To earn the profit. In your profit making organization, first I am explaining here. Second is what? Production and the distribution of the goods and services. Once the goods are produced, then they are distributed and then they are sold in the market. So the production and the distribution of goods, but also giving service to earn profit. So here under your profit making organization, when you are giving production and that is distribution of your products and services, you get profit. Okay, third is risk. Of course, in a profit making organization, you have to always take risk. Okay, the government control, it is very high whenever that in a profit making organization, the government control is always high. Next, there is no need of any government grant, especially in your profit making organization. You need a government control which is very high, but you don't need any government grant. Okay, next, when you come to your net results of your operation under your profit making organization, you have profit and loss. Okay, the next one is your payment of tax. Of course, in your profit making organization, you are liable to pay the tax. Okay, your accounting system in your profit making organization is your manufacturing account, profit and loss account, then you have got your trading account and a balance sheet. Okay, again I'm repeating, manufacturing account, trading account, profit and loss account and your balance sheet. Okay, so these all come under what you mean by your profit making organization. Next is your non-profit making organization. The primary motive is what? To render service. Okay, the primary motive of a non-profit making organization is to render service to the society. The main function of the non-profit making organization is providing service to whom? To the members and to the public. Next, the risk in the non-profit making organization is low, government control is low, government grant is available, especially in your non-profit making organization it is available. Okay, your net results of operation is a surplus or it can be deficit also. Your payment of taxes here, they are not liable to pay the tax. Okay, non-profit organization, there's no need for them to pay the tax. And when it comes to your accounting system in a non-profit making organization, it's your receipts and payments account, you have got your income and expenditure account, and the third one is the balance sheet. Okay, so now when you are coming here to your differentiation, here in a profit making organization, the primary motive is profit, here it's to render the service. Then here the main function is the production of the goods and services. Here it is providing service to the members and the public. Here the risk is high and here the risk is low. The government control, it is high and low. Government grant in profit organization, it is not available, whereas in a non-profit it is available. The net results again in a profit organization is profit and loss, and here it is non-profit, it is your surplus or deficit. Then the profit making organization is liable to pay the tax in a profit making organization, and you are not liable to pay the tax in your non-profit making organization. When it comes to your accounting system, you have got in your profit making organization, you have got your manufacturing account, trading account, profit and loss account, and a balance sheet. Whereas in a non-profit making organization, you have got receipts and payments account, income and expenditure, and your balance sheet. So I have explained here what is your profit making organization, non-profit making organization, and what is the difference between the profit making organization and non-profit making organization. Now, next is the comparison, or you can say the distinction between your private sector enterprise, public sector enterprise, and a joint sector enterprise. Now this is the easy way to understand and you can write it properly. Now here, when it comes to your ownership, okay, your private sector enterprises, the business undertakings are owned and controlled by the private businessmen. This is under your private sector enterprise. The business undertakings that are owned and controlled, they are controlled by your private businessmen. When it comes to your public sector enterprise, they are owned and operated by the government. Okay, when it comes to your joint sector enterprises, they are partly by the government and partly by the private businessmen. This comes under your joint sector enterprises. Next, I'm giving you some examples under your private sector enterprises. You can take your Reliance Industries and your Hindustan Unilever. These two are the famous examples which comes under your private sector enterprises. Next is your public sector enterprises. You have got your Indian Railways, then your RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, and the Indian Airlines. Next is your joint sector enterprise. Under that, examples are your Cochin Refineries, Gujarat State Fertilizer Company. So these are the examples of under these various enterprises which I have given you all. Next is your management. Okay, I have finished with the ownership, I have finished with the examples. Next, the second one is management. Now, the private owners and the professional managers, they manage the enterprise themselves and there is no government interference. Once it comes to a private sector enterprise, there is no government interference, and it is the private owners and the professional managers who manage the business enterprise themselves. Next, it is controlled and managed by the government in your public sector enterprises. In your joint sector enterprises, you have got the representatives of the government, your private, businessmen, and the public. These are the other management under your joint sector enterprises. The main objective in your private sector is your earning profit. In your public sector enterprise, it is your rendering service, that is your social objective. And the joint sector enterprise, it is your profit and your social objective. That is earning profit and social objective, that is the mixed of in your joint sector enterprise, the main objective. Next is accountability. Under your private sector enterprise, you have got the capital of the private sector undertaking, which is arranged by the owners. Under your public sector enterprise, money is invested in public enterprises, which is called as your public money. And in your joint sector enterprises, it is the pool to the financial resources, both to the private owners and to the public owners. Next, we have done this between the trade, commerce, and industry. We have got the extraction, reproduction, manufacturing, and construction of useful products in your industry. Commerce, it comes to the distribution of goods and services. Trade is buying and selling of goods and services. The scope, it is the production of goods in your industry. Commerce, it's trade and aids of trade or your auxiliaries to trade. Here, under your trade is your purchase and the sale activities. That is the scope. It comes to the capital. Here in industry is generally large. Here in commerce it is comparatively less. And in your trade, the capital required is to keep the stocks. When it comes to your ownership and control, I have told it is industry, it is controlled by the industrialist. Commerce, they are the ownership and the capital are the traders, or you can say merchants. And here in the trade, it is your traders. Okay, here in the beginning of activity, it begins prior to distribution. In your industry. In commerce, it starts after production, and in the trade, it begins with commerce. Your classifications, I have told you all, you've got your extractive industry, genetic industry, and your manufacturing and your construction industry when it comes to industries. Under your commerce, you've got a trade and aids to trade. Under your trade, you have got, under your classification, you've got your home trade and your foreign trade. When it comes to your utility, you have got a form utility in your industry, you have got time and space utility, which is for your commerce, and the position utility in your trade. Place of work in industry is your factory or workshop. From one space to another is your commerce, and in the market is in the trade. Last but not least is your representation. The supply of the goods and services is always in industry. In commerce, that is always the demand side of the goods and services. And in your trade, it is what is the exchange of goods and services. Okay, this is of lesson number 1.